You would rather avoid losing $20 than gain $20. Read that again. It doesn't make sense, and yet it's exactly how your brain works. Think about the last time you almost sold a stock, then didn't, just because you didn't want to lock in the loss. Or the time you kept a subscription you never used because canceling felt like admitting you wasted the money. None of that is logical, but all of it is human. Picture this. You're offered a coin flip. Heads, you win $100. Tails, you lose $100. Fair odds. Even odds. Most people say no. Why would you turn down a fair bet? Because losing feels heavier than winning feels good. Much heavier. This is called loss aversion. It's the tendency to feel the pain of losing something about twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining the same thing. Not slightly more intensely. Twice as much. Your brain isn't weighing gains and losses on the same scale. It's tilting the whole table. The psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky discovered this in the late 1970s. Through a series of experiments that became the foundation of what's now called prospect theory. Instead of asking people what they should rationally choose, they asked what people actually chose. And the answers broke the old economic models completely. People weren't behaving like rational calculators. They were behaving like creatures wired to protect what they already had. Here's the mechanism in plain terms. Your brain doesn't evaluate outcomes in isolation. It evaluates them relative to a reference point, usually whatever you currently have. Anything below that point registers as a loss. Anything above it registers as a gain. And losses get amplified by your nervous system in a way gains never do. This made sense for your ancestors. In a world of scarcity, losing your food store could mean starvation. Missing a chance to gain a little more rarely killed anyone. So the brain evolved to fear loss far more than it desires gain. That wiring never updated for a world of stock portfolios and streaming subscriptions. You can see it everywhere once you know to look. Retailers use it constantly. Only 3 left in stock. Sale ends tonight. They're not selling you a product. They're selling you the fear of losing an opportunity. Free trials work the same way. Once something feels like yours, giving it up feels like a loss, even if you never truly needed it. But here's where it gets stranger. Loss aversion doesn't just affect small purchases, it shapes life decisions. People stay in careers they've outgrown because leaving feels like losing years already invested. People stay in relationships long past their expiration date for the same reason. Researcher Richard Thaler extended Kahneman and Tversky's work by showing how this plays out in real financial behavior, what he called mental accounting, where people treat money differently depending on where it came from or what it's for, rather than treating every dollar the same. A dollar you might lose from your savings account feels far more painful to part with than a dollar you might spend from a fun money envelope, even though a dollar is a dollar. And there's a twist most people never notice. Loss aversion doesn't just make you avoid risk, sometimes it makes you chase it. If you're already in a losing position, the fear of locking in that loss can push you to gamble even harder to avoid facing it. That's why people double down on bad investments, or keep spending on a failing project just to avoid admitting the first investment was wasted. The pain of the loss becomes so unbearable that taking a bigger risk feels safer than accepting it. So what do you actually do with this? Next time you feel a decision pulling at you with unusual force, pause and ask a simple question. Am I avoiding this because it's genuinely a bad idea, or because some part of me is terrified of losing what I already have? That single question can separate a real risk from an imagined one. You started this not knowing why a coin flip with even odds could feel like a bad deal. Now you know. It was never about the odds. It was about the part of you that would rather protect what you have than reach for what you could gain. Notice it the next time it shows up, quietly tilting your decisions before you even realize you're making one. If this changed how you see your own choices, stick around. There's a lot more hiding in that same wiring.